Hey YouTube. So today I'm going to show you how to do or rather how to replace a head gasket on a 2007 Chrysler 300 with a 3.5 motor. I got a request, so I'm trying to fulfill the request on that. Hope you enjoy. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up down there in the bottom part, in the comment section. And I'll usually get back to you within a good timely amount. If there's something you don't understand or something you want me to go further into, let me know in the comments and we can make a video on that as well. So other than that, stick around, get your little popcorn. This is not a quick process. It's going to take a little time to do that. But stick around and we'll teach you something today. So today we're going to show you how to do a head gasket on a Chrysler 300 3.5. So one of the first steps you want to do is you want to remove the exhaust bolt brackets, exhaust bolt nuts. There's one there at the top, one at the bottom on both sides, and also you want to remove these. These are your motor mount bolts, and this will allow you to lift the motor up. There's one there also, and one there. These will allow you to lift the motor up and give you some extra clearance space so that you can get in there to mess with the timing belt and remove the heads and stuff like that. Try to make this quick and simple. It's actually a rather long job, but I'm going to film and record and work and stuff, but you'll get the gist of what I'm talking about. This is not a really hard job. It is kind of time consuming because of the way it's set up. The first thing that you want to do to get started is drain all your fluids out. It'll make the job a lot cleaner, and it'll make it a lot easier, a lot safer too, because you don't have to worry about slipping around on fluids and stuff. So go ahead and drain your vehicle of all the fluids, and then come back to this video if you need help, and we'll get started. After you drain the fluids, first thing you want to do after that is you want to remove the plenum. Okay, that's the plenum here. There's some screws on the side you need to take off, as well as these here. There's two there. I think these are 10mm screws. And then you have some piping in the back. The EGR tube here, it just slides out. Be careful. There's a little rubber O-ring that could be damaged upon sliding it out, but either way, you're going to get a new one when you put this thing back together. So we'll get that off and show you what it looks like after it's off. Okay, now another little trick about this particular job. In order to get this plenum off, you're going to have to lift it up through here. Now some people like to take the windshield wipers off, but that's not going to be necessary. If you come over here and you pull this little plastic tab up here, there's two bolts here, and then you go to the other side, there's two bolts under there. Take those bolts out. That'll let that stabilizer bar move up, and then you can easily remove this intake manifold. Get up. Now that bar will move up. If you don't take that up, you're not going to have enough clearance to get this out, and you're going to be fighting for a long time, losing and wasting time. So these are 13mm screws. You'll just remove those two. You don't have to remove them, just loosen it up so that the bar can lift up. And you don't have to take your windshield wipers and stuff off either. See how that moves up? Alright, there you go. And that'll give you just enough clearance so that you can get that out of there. Now with that removed, you have down to the bare bones of it. Okay, have a lot more space to work, as you can see. This is your intake manifold here, and your fuel injector rail. You'll take the fuel injector rail out first, and then you'll come through. Actually, you can just take all these bolts out, lift your fuel injector rail, sit it off to the side, and then take your intake manifold off. Go ahead and disconnect your coolant hose as well. Now, while you're at this step, it's a good time to go ahead and remove all your wiring harnesses, your wire connections, because this whole harness is actually going to lift up out of the way. So, but you have to disconnect all the little connections. After we do that, we're going to take out our coil packs, and we'll also take out our spark plugs. Okay. Anytime you're doing a head gasket job, it's good to inspect those items and see where, if you have any type of coolant going down into the burn chamber, or it'll actually show you which chamber is burnt, if it is a burnt chamber, or why am I saying burnt? A broken chamber where the coolant gets into the burn chamber. Did I say that right? I think you understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, if antifreeze gets down into spark plugs, you'll definitely be able to tell because of the discoloration of the plug. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. I have air tools, but you want to get you a quick little handy tool, get you one of these little impact drivers. This one's by DeWalt. I've had it for some years now, but it makes your job quick and easy and saves you money on your air compressor cost. And it's 20 volts, so it's pretty powerful. Only thing I will say is when you put the stuff back together with it, be careful that you don't break your bolts. Alright, so this will lift up out of here. So, as you can see, and lift it up out of the way. Now once you have that out of the way, you'll need to move that hose clamp, remove this hose. You'll also need to remove those rear hose clamps to remove the hose from the lower coolant pipe that runs below this intake manifold. Then you can lift that up out of there. Okay, now that we have the intake manifold off, you'll notice these are the gaskets, the old gaskets. You'll replace those. One bad thing about these, you see how that tears out? That'll create a leak right there. Over time, that rubber will shrink from the metal, so that's why you need to replace that. Get the kit, because there's going to be some other stuff that comes in there. There's an O-ring that comes in it, and also you get the other upper plenum gasket too. So after you do that, go ahead and take your coil packs out and remove your spark plugs. To get that out, you use a star driver on this particular one. I think it was a this is a T30. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, the side of that is a T30 star head. Come on, focus camera. Yeah, T30 star head on that. Take those out and then take your spark plugs out. That'll make it a lot easier to rotate the motor to get it at top dead center, because you will need to remove the timing belt on this particular motor to get the heads off. Another quick tip, after you remove the screws for your coil packs and you remove the coil pack, go ahead and put that screw back in there, tighten down in the valve cover. That's a good safe place to keep it so that you don't lose it. Like I said, this is a Torx head screw, so you don't want to lose that bad boy. So just go ahead and keep it in there. You're going to remove the valve cover in a second, and that's going to be in there when you remove it. And take your spark plugs out. Alright, after you have that removed, you'll want to go in and remove your valve covers. You want to go ahead and remove your valve covers. That's going to give you access to your head bolts actually. Alright, now that we have our valve covers off, the next step we want to start paying attention to is our front timing cover, blow cover, and tensioners. We're going to pull all that stuff off. You've got to pull that off so that you can get the heads out. So, first thing you'll do is just take your bolts out of the cover, take all those over this job, head gasket job for somebody, and I discovered something as I was taking it apart, looking at it. Look at that. Look at that. You see how that water pump's just spinning? This timing belt is not on here properly, which means the water pump ain't circulating. I found the issue. So without the water pump circulating, then of course it's not going to move it the way it needs to, therefore it's going to cause it to overheat. Look at that, it just slides. Front cover off. I went ahead and took the water pump off on this case because I wanted to inspect it. You don't have to take the water pump off for this case actually, but I decided to do that because I wanted to inspect it. You'll take the timing pulley gears off, alright. Then there's 3 bolts in there. You'll take that off. Then you're ready to take off your head bolts. Now once you remove your head bolts, and that's the only thing holding that head down, and you should be able to lift it up. Now I left a lot of the stuff on there because it's not necessary to take it off, so you're going to have to use a little arm muscle to pick it up. In the same way with this side. Although this side's a little more difficult because this shaft is a little bit longer, but you have a lot more space once you lift up and you can slide it back there. If it doesn't lift up, or if you're not comfortable with lifting up, go ahead and take this front face plate off here. Sometimes the dowel pins will be sticking up kind of high. And if that's the case, then it makes it a little bit more difficult. So just take these dowel pins off. I mean, just take this front cover off, and then you'll be able to get to it. If you take this front cover off, there is an O-ring that goes back here. I suggest you replace that, because 9 times out of 10 it's going to start leaking once you take it off. All right, once you have your head bolts out, these are your head bolts here. Once you take those head bolts out, like I say, you can go ahead and lift this this on up out. You might want to take like a soft rubber mallet and tap it in a few places if it gets stuck. You really don't want to try to use a pry bar in too many places on it. It's best to tap it loose first and then pry it just a little bit. Be easy on it because you don't want to damage any of the surfaces. Also on the side here, there's a bolt that you'll need to take out. So you need to remove the dipstick and the bracket for the alternator. Then after you do that, you'll take a soft rubber mallet hammer, just tap it. So you get all your bolts out. As you can see, it's loose. Now I can move it, and I put this camera down to lift it up out of there. But I'll lift it up out of there and show you the head off. We've taken the right side off, and upon inspection, you can see how the head gasket looks there. A little worn. You also see the carbon build up on the pistons. Now would be a good time to clean all that stuff off. So you can see this is a very, very thick metal gasket. You see it's several layers thick. And this one is rather thick. Looks like it might be an aftermarket shim the gasket. I don't know, I have to check on that. The head off, you'll want to go ahead and clean it up. So that you can tell if you have any type of damage as far as cracks or anything like that. And also, now is a good time to clean up those pistons too. Get that stuff all clean and shiny. And the fastest and best way to do that is with the wire brush and maybe some brake parts cleaner. All right, we'll get that clean so that we can put that new gasket on and get it mounted back in there. This is the head on the right side. We cleaned it up. Take a closer look at it and see what was going on with it. And basically want to check and see for any cracks. But one thing, we didn't find any cracks, but one thing we found strange about this particular motor was this line here. And upon further review, you'll notice my fingernail gets caught in that line. That's not a crack per se, but it is a divot in the head. If I can focus in on that, as you can see there. And there may be a crack farther deep down in there. Now the issue with this particular car is the owner would drive it and for about 10 minutes or so, and the thing would start building pressure in the coolant reservoir and force all the coolant out of it. So another shop referred her to me for head gasket repair, and they told me to do a head gasket for them, so that's what I'm doing, and this is what I found while doing this. Also, I think this head has been replaced previously. When you look at the rocker arms on the top of it, you'll notice that one side of them are like really clean and one side's really dirty, so I think this head has been replaced once before. Now, we went and got another head to replace that, and you'll notice how nice and smooth that is. That's how you want your surfaces, nice and smooth. We could have taken this to the machine shop and had it done, but the machine shop was backed up a little bit, so we just decided to get another replacement head. And as you can see, it doesn't have divots or anything like that in there. So we're going to get that installed, prepped up, and we'll return. as you can see here, we've done some prep work on the motor block here. There's a lot of buildup of old oil and unburnt gasoline and whatever else is down in there. We're going to finish cleaning that out. And notice we have our surfaces clean. Alright, if you don't get all that out, that stuff will actually burn out on your thing, but I would recommend getting it out just in case it don't. No need to actually sending that stuff down your exhaust system. But for those of you that are lazy, that will usually burn out once you get it loosened from the thing. But get it out. Don't be lazy. Fix your car right. Alright, so the main thing, get this surface cleaned here. Once you get this surface clean, you'll place your head gasket down on that surface. You'll mount it on these two tabs. We're going to do that, and we'll get back to you. Alright, next you want to place your head gasket on there. On this particular model, they have a one for the left, for the right hand side, and one for the left hand side. And if you aren't sure, just take the old one that you took off and compare it to the new one. Match it up before you open it up the package and put it on there. Alright? And once you have it matched up, you'll notice how clean that is now, a lot cleaner, and just place it on that cylinder block there. When you have it right, you'll notice that the gasket says right hand side. Okay? Alright, after you have that head gasket down, you can go ahead and place your head on back on the thing. You'll need to actually kind of slide it, tilt this end down and this end up as you slide it in so it'll go into the hole. And then next you want to use some head bolts. Use new head bolts because these are torque to yield. I'll get you the specs on what you can do, tightening specs for that in a second. But use new head bolts. Okay, so now we're going to do our torque specs for this particular vehicle. The 07 Chrysler 300. Alright, with the 3.5, as you can see, it says first step is 45 foot-pounds and 65 foot-pounds and 65 again, then turn an additional 90 degrees. You don't want to use a torque wrench on a 90-degree turn, and I'll show you that in a second. This is an example of why you want to use new torque bolts. These bolts are torque to yield bolts, which means they stretch when you use them. Okay, so get some new bolts so they'll be like that. That way you'll be able to get a true torque reading for your torquing of your heads. Okay, so this is a torque wrench. You'll notice it's got some numbers on there. If I can focus in on that. The camera don't want to focus too good today for some reason, but it's got some numbers on there, and you'll set those numbers to the 45 and 65 foot-pounds that it was talking about. And when you use this, what will happen is it'll click as you tighten these bolts up. The first thing I like to do is actually seat the head down. You can do that with just a regular. Log there. Now you notice this one was a little clogged. I'll take it back out just to. Okay, yeah, it's all right. I'll take that back out just to make sure that it was okay and no debris. It was just probably a little tilted until I got the head all the way down. All right, so that seats your head down pretty level there. Now you can go ahead and take your torque wrench, and then you're going to retighten all these bolts, and you're going to go in a pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 across the head. All right, and you'll do that 45, 65, 65, then 90. I'm going to go ahead and get tooled up and torque these down, then I'll come back and I want to show you the 90-degree portion of it. It's kind of irrelevant to show you how this thing works. Basically, you tighten it up until it clicks. You set the foot-pound right here and lock it in there, and then you tighten it up, and you tighten the bolt. Once it reaches the desired tightness, it'll go click, click. So I can't show you that while I'm filming. Can't do it and film at the same time, but I am going to show you the 90-degree thing. All right. Well, I guess I'll show you just one. Alright, so have it on there. I've already tightened this, but you know that, hear that clicking? That lets me know that I'm at 45 foot-pounds. Alright. Okay, so the final step of torquing down the head is making a final turn of 90 degrees on your bolts after you've done the 65, 45, 65, 65. Okay, so a neat little trick that I like to do is once you have your bolts torqued down, the torque, the elastic and final torque, I like to use this right here. Good old-fashioned whiteout. And you'll take the whiteout and you'll put it all your diagonal line here, okay, across the head of your bolts. Then when you use your breaker bar and you make that final turn, and you have that line at a 90-degree angle from where it was originally when you started, then you know you've got 90 degrees additional torque on there. So I'll go through and do the sequence of that and show you the final product. Alright, so now you see all of our lines are facing straight. I like to go up and down, that way when I know they're straight to the head of the car, then I've done this side. It's just my little method. Some people want to go straight and then go up and down and then they're finished. But either way, mark your bolts and make sure you turn them 90 degrees from where they were initially. Okay, so that pretty much concludes how to replace the head gasket on the Chrysler 300. Hope you enjoyed. I'm not going to show you the rest of the assembly process, because if you were smart enough to take this vehicle apart to the point of doing the head gasket, then the remaining procedure is just putting everything back to where it was. I've showed you the hard part, or explained it to you what you need to do as well. Hope this helps you. If you have any questions or comments, please post, chat, and most importantly, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you out, for those of you who need it. Other than that, have a great day. Second hand side, I'm not going to film the whole process of the second side of this procedure, so I'll show you the first side. But I want to show you a quick tip. You'll notice that this is really tight in here, and you can't really, you don't have as much playroom as you do here. So what you'll need to do, there's a bolt right there. You'll need to take that bolt out. That will allow this plate to move forward, right, like so. And of course, you should have already had that bolt out there, and you should have already had that bolt out there. But that will allow this plate to slide forward. Okay. Once this plate slides forward, that gives you enough room to maneuver this up and off of the cylinder block over there. So, just wanted to show you that little tidbit right there for those of you who are doing the left side. That's the left side. Left side's on the driver's side. Right side is on the passenger side. All right. So, any questions or comments, let me know. Post, chat, and all that other crazy stuff. And share this with the world, too. All right, so we're going to get this thing back together, and we'll work on making our next video. Have a great night.